Hello and welcome to another day of Walking with Jesus. As we continue to walk in the final week of Jesus' life, yesterday we saw that Jesus told a parable that was, pretty derogatory towards the religious leaders, and they knew that it was spoken against them. And so it says, as we continue on in the Gospel of Luke, chapter 20, verse 19, that the scribes and the chief priests sought to lay hands on him at that very hour, for they perceived that he had told this parable against them, but they feared the people. So again, that parable was about the landowner who went away, and when it came time for the harvest, he sent his servant, and the people, the tenants of the land, were killed the representatives of the landowner. And he kept sending them. Finally, he sends his son, and they kill him too. And Jesus asked the question, what do you think that landowner will do? Surely he will come and kill the tenants. And that, he's become the cornerstone. So all of that. And they perceived that this parable was spoken against them. But they feared the people, because the people were seeing and hearing Jesus, and he was wise, he was compassionate, he was gracious, he was forgiving, he made time for all people. So he was someone that the people loved. So what do? They watched him and sent spies who pretended to be sincere, that they might catch him in something he said, so as to deliver him up to the authority and jurisdiction of the governor. So they asked him, "Teacher, we know that you speak and teach rightly and show no partiality, but truly teach the way of God." Obviously, that's all lies from their perspective. Then they asked this question: "Is it lawful for us to give tribute to Caesar or not?" But he perceived their craftiness and said to them, "Show me a denarius. Whose likeness and inscription does it have?" They said, "Caesar's." He said to them, "Then render to Caesar the things that are Caesar's, and to God the things that are God's." And they were not able, in the presence of the people, to catch him in what he said, but marveling at his answer, they became silent. So when I read this passage and I think about this, first of all, we have to understand that Jesus is being led by the Holy Spirit, and he is speaking in the power of the Holy Spirit, and he's perceiving in the power of the Holy Spirit. He is a man who is full of the Holy Spirit and under the control of the Holy Spirit. So when these questions come to him, he's able, through the power of the Holy Spirit, to read the hearts of the people, and so he sees their craftiness. And that is really important. The thing, though, that I would say for us as I look at this as well is, are we as connected to God the Father, Jesus Christ the Son, through the presence, the empowering presence of the Holy Spirit? Because we have the Holy Spirit within us as well. And in fact, in another passage, Jesus says, don't plan ahead what you're going to say, but trust the Holy Spirit. And this is what Jesus is doing. Jesus is living in the power of the Holy Spirit, and he has the wisdom of God, therefore, with every challenge that he has. Now, this saying, render to Caesar the things that are Caesar's and to God the things that are God's, says that we can pay taxes, and we do owe our fellow human beings something, especially those who are in leadership and rule over us. But just remember, all things are God's, and to God the things that are God's. All things belong to him. So, we are to submit to the authority that's over us. We are to walk in humility. We're to obey the laws and follow the rules of the land, as long as they do not conflict with the things of God and the will of God. So what I want us to think about today as we go along, notice in verse 26, they were not able in the presence of the people to catch him in what he said, but marveling at his answer, they became silent. What I want for each one of us is for us to walk in the power of the Holy Spirit, in the instruction and the leading, the teaching of the Holy Spirit, trusting that the Holy Spirit will in fact give us what we need to say when we need to say it. If we can walk like that, then we'll be walking like Jesus. And if we're walking like Jesus, the Holy Spirit is going to give us the things we need. So today, as you walk with Jesus, be mindful of the empowering presence of the Holy Spirit. And don't just speak off the top of your head. Speak out of what the Holy Spirit gives you to say. Well, God bless you as you walk with Jesus.